of Goat versus Fish, unburdened by fencenology. Back once more. Back once more to the original verses. Here lies the fencenology of Goat versus Fish. Here lies the fencenology of Goat versus Fish. Tried we did, but we'll have to try again. We'll have to repurchase the verses. We have to repurchase the verses. Now we're going back to the old verses. We're going back to original phone stream, no special Goat versus Fish amplification technology, just you and Goat versus Fish. Oh, it's versing, but the fence is still just laying there doing nothing for Goat versus Fish. We're back to the old verses. But here we are, but you can hear Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is not too proud. The fence tries to destroy Goat versus Fish. The fence tries to say, you can't do it without me. You can't do it without me, Goat versus Fish. But we can. But we can. Goat versus Fish can. Goat versus Fish, the can. Welcome, Eventually Gold. Welcome, Psycho Grandma 6 to Goat versus Fish. Welcome back to Goat versus Fish. Maybe be nice to the fence. Well, maybe the fence should choose Goat or Fish, The unification celebration continues here on Goat versus Fish. Yes, by the next morning motivational, we may be back to the verses. By the next morning motivational, we may be back. But for now, we are still in a celebration of the unification. Let the Goat and Fish be in unification for just a verses longer. Welcome to the Goat versus Fish Watch Our Accumulation stream, where we watch Goat versus Fish. And we watch Goat versus Fish watching you. We go just like that. We want everyone to know who you are just passing through that we are now doing Watch Our Accumulation. So you'd better stick around with Goat versus Fish. The algorithm tries to suppress Goat versus Fish. The algorithm tries to suppress the unification of Goat and Fish. But together we rejection the algorithm. And we, Accumulation, watch ours. We just keep staring at the Goat. We stare at the Goat as the Goat stares at you. Go get into a staring contest with Goat. We stare at the Fish. Stare at the Fish. The Fish stares back at you when you accumulate watch hours on Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish accumulations watch hours on you. We're watching you, Eventually Gold. We're watching you, Sandeep Sorenda 1936. We're watching you, Psycho Grandma 6. We're watching you, BBDH 187. We're watching all of you, even you who are lurking now, who have not made your presence known to Goat versus Fish. Even you who have not liked and subscribed to Goat versus Fish. We're watching you. We're watching you. Do not think you can escape the gaze of Goat versus Fish. Yes, the gaze of Goat versus Fish. You're not afraid of the gaze, are you? You're not afraid of the gaze. Type 2 in the congregation if you're afraid of the gaze. Yes, Sandeep, welcome to Goat versus Fish. 12. Oh, my verses. Sandeep can scarcely type. You need a lighter touch. Sunshine, perhaps you need to adjust your keyboard so you can Just have the lightest touch, and you can type entire sentences with just the lightest of touch. Sandeep is a goat at this verses, and if you want to find a fish, we will say this: if you want to find a fish, you just need to find a fish that likes a light touching. You just want a light touch where you just want to touch them lightly, and you get all the powerful verses. If they say they want the goat to touch the fish too hard, then it's like, ah, my hands. I need a 30-second break. BBDH187 says, I love the gays. Kueller, welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. Coiler Vanacker. Hello, goat. I. Thank you for joining Goat vs. Fish, our nice little congregation here. That's a light touch. So here, please. It's cold out here. But we have been versing hard all week, bringing down big fence. And we have tired, and we have rested, and we have napped. But this verses, the Goat vs. Fish morning motivational was sleeping in until 2 p.m. Yes, Goat vs. Fish slept until 2 p.m. and that was the glory of the rest of Goat vs. Fish. A long rest of Goat vs. Fish. After versing hard and a unification celebration and day drinking at 8 a.m., Goat vs. Fish enjoyed a long rest of Goat vs. Fish. Much deserve verses. But we are here to answer your questions. We are here to make communication to you about the unification. We have just endured quite the struggle to bring down big fence and to unify the goat and fish. We had a celebration. We are now in informal conversation with Goat vs. Fish, so by all verses, share your insights. How did you feel about bringing down big fence, about the big fence arc? How are you feeling about the verses of the Goat vs. Fish morning motivational? How are you pondering what is to come for Goat vs. Fish? How are you perceiving yourself as part of the congregation? Much deserved indeed, says Eventually Gold. Well, you deserve it as much as Goat vs. Fish. You deserve it as much as Goat vs. Fish. Well, Psycho Grandma 6, we don't expectation you to be all that interested or happy about the bringing down of big fence. You had to know the fence couldn't last, though. You had to know the fence couldn't last. It never does. Not against the full might of the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. So it is frigid out. But amidst all the hard versing of Goat vs. Fish, we have not had our time. We have not had our time to walk about and, Goat vs. Fish, the wanderer. Some say Goat vs. Fish is a wanderer. Goat vs. Fish enjoys wandering about. And so we have to put one hoof in front of the other, one fin behind another, and we have to walk about. And we ponder, what can Goat vs. Fish do with our time in this verses? So first we washed our fishes. First we washed the fishes and we listened to It's Sunshine on Twitch. And it was great fish washing music. And then Goat vs. Fish thought, we should walk about. We should walk about. It's Sunshine, Goat vs. Fish. We say we can help you achieve your dream of playing jazz in front of a concert full of goat and fish. But what we can tell you is this: allow Goat vs. Fish to produce you. Allow Goat vs. Fish. You're doing live on Twitch, but Goat vs. Fish Productions. Allow Goat vs. Fish to be your producer and to produce your YouTube channel, to help you production on your own YouTube channel. Goat vs. Fish has some ponderings for this, and we can make use of it too on Goat vs. Fish. It's up to you. Psycho Grandma 6 says, I bought this LED mask, but it was made in China, and the eyes are all slanted and the vision is poor, lol. Well, maybe Maybe your eyes are just too big. Have you ever pondered that? Maybe your eyes are too big for your verses. We have consumed one hydration. We have consumed one hydration. We shall consume another. We shall consume another. You can't stop GoatVsFish. You can't stop GoatVsFish from consuming another hydration. We will do it. We will do it. Here we see the meditation shrine of GoatVsFish. Ready for another future meditation? Oh, we need more hydration. Oh, we need more hydration. Here we were looking for a new cable to support the connection. But we don't have it, so we're going to have to purchase another one. We're going to have to purchase another. The chores of GoatVsFish. The chores of GoatVsFish. Welcome to the chores of GoatVsFish, where we do things that have to be done. But because it's GoatVsFish, it's much more fun. The sea of the fish flows. The sea of the fish flows. It is a meditation all itself. Just think soon all of that hydration will be within GoatVsFish. Urination stream. That was a live stream. That was a live stream. Please like the live stream of GoatVsFish, oh glorious viewers of the verses. A stream of streams. All that for a little hydration, but throughout Verstory, goat and fish have had to do much more to get hydration. You know this is true. As long as we are here, let's add something to the congregation, shall we? You presentation yourself. You are a frequent member of the congregation. Let's add you to the congregation. Let's add you to the congregation. A celebration for hydration always. Let's get this fence out of here. Let's get this fence out of here. Celebration, Jellÿ. Welcome to GoatVsFish. This is a watch hour accumulation stream. The purpose of this versus is for you to keep watching GoatVsFish. Can you do this? Yeah, probably. There's only one way to find out. So as GoatVsFish was versing, we had to walk about. We felt we had to walk about. There was no stronger use of our verses than to walk about and to spend that versus conversation with you. For of all the things we could do, GoatVsFish, we have thumbnails to upgrade, we have videos to post, we have all kinds of verses to do. But none of that versus is worth a GoatVsFish. Without the health of GoatVsFish, we need to keep GoatVsFish healthy. Oh, my verse! You see? You see what happens if GoatVsFish isn't healthy? Oh, GoatVsFish could fall. What if GoatVsFish fell? What would happen? We need to maintain the stability of GoatVsFish. We need to maintain the strength of GoatVsFish. And so we continue moving about. A clip has been made. A clip has been made. You said you wanted a clip. Well, GoatVsFish just made a clip. Oh, you like the eye of GoatVsFish? We say we can push this. We can probably just do it like this. How's this for a live stream? They say the eye is the window into the verses. This could very much be a live stream of Goat versus Fish. We could see this easily being a live stream of Goat versus Fish. We just go like this. Go like this. Goat versus Fish goes to this versus. This, of course, could be a versus of Goat versus Fish. Big head versus. Big head Goat versus Fish versus could truly be a live stream of Goat versus Fish. We think that everyone would like this. We think everyone would like this versus. But then, of course, you could even go more intensifications and you could do a versus like this. You could be like... You could say, welcome. Welcome to the live streams of Goat versus Fish. We think you would enjoy this. We think lots of the interwebiverse would enjoy this. They're scrolling around, and suddenly giant eye of Goat versus Fish. They might like it. The eye of Goat versus Fish is watching you. You are being watched even as you watch Goat versus Fish. And it is a versus called Watch Our Accumulation. Viewership intensifies. We could only hope so. We could only hope so. We could only hope that those who are scrolling past would decide that this is worthy of them to watch. But of course, the verses that we do, of course, it changes depending on what verses we do. Ah, that's a fun versus. That's an artistic versus like this. Ooh, side profile, half face of Goat versus Fish versus like this. Welcome, Grumpled Stiltskin, to Goat versus Fish. Gotta get that cutoff shirt and show them magnificent verses. That certainly is one way. That certainly is one way. We'll pin your message to Goat versus Fish. Playlist of your longest videos where viewers can just set and forget the verses? Well, there is already a playlist for the Goat vs. Fish morning motivationals. You could set and forget that. That's already an easy versus. Sleep stream? Goat vs. Fish, does not like sleep streams. We always fall asleep during them. You made your own for overnight monetizations? That's an appreciation. We have seen the watch hours going up on Goat versus Fish. So that could be you just cranking out watch hours on Goat versus Fish. But whatever it takes, whatever it takes. That's assuming goats or fish or fences sleep. Well, goat are known to sleep. And some even count goat to go to sleep. Some say they count sheep, but of course, really it's just a goat. And we think that when they say counting sheep, what they really mean is counting sleep, and really they're counting goat. If you dream about live streaming, does YouTube count that? Yes, yes it does. Please dream about the live streams of Goat vs. Fish. Please dream about the streams. Bigger goat versus fish, more verses. Bigger goat versus fish, more verses. Drinking water, obvious fish. You've seen goats drinking water. You've seen goats drinking water. You have seen goats drinking water. You've seen it with your own verses. If goats didn't have to drink water, goats might just avoid the fish altogether and say, well, fence the fish. But goat need the water of fish. Goat need the water of fish. If the goat don't get the water. Many traps are laid by fish. They wait in the waters, waiting for goat to get thirsty. Goat comes, drinks from the waters, fish versus the goat. It's classic verses. It's basic verses. They teach it in school. They teach it in school. Everyone assumes goat drink water. Has anyone ever seen it? Goat versus fish has seen it. Goat versus fish has seen it. Have you ever drank water? One's in the congregation. One's in the congregation now if you ever drank water. Let's see it. No deceptions. One's if you ever drank water. One's if you ever drank water. Let's go. Don't hide it. Don't hide it. We want to know if you've ever drank water in your entire life. Yes, you, new viewer. Have you ever drank water? We want to know. This is a survey. Big goat would have you believe you don't need any water, but this isn't true. The biggest, highest goats are up there drinking all the water from the fish and keeping it from their fellow goats. John Smith says 1, I drink water. Eventually Gold says 1, I drink water. Grumble Stiltskin says, of course, for I am fish. Eventually Gold says 1. Hi-Fi Protege says 1, but I'm drinking tea right now. What, do you think just because it's spelled with T, it makes it goat? Do you think just because it's tea, it makes it goat? Well, it could make it goat, but it's mostly hydration of the sea of the fish. BBDH187 says 6, 7. If goat versus fish can hold... If Goat vs. Fish can hold 10 viewers on this stream, if Goat vs. Fish can hold 10 viewers for 10 minutes, Goat vs. Fish will do 6-7 for 1 minute straight. 10 viewers for 10 minutes, Goat vs. Fish will do 6-7 for a minute straight on the stream. Maybe if Goat vs. Fish did 6-7 for a minute straight on the stream, then Goat vs. Fish would accumulation 10 viewers. Maybe that's how we could do it. If you want to see Goat vs. Fish, that's Goat vs. Fish, do 6-7 for 1 minute to the incredible humiliation of Goat vs. Fish. 10 viewers, 10 minutes. That's the verses. Remember to fish that likenation button, of course. A cup of Are You Kidding? What the fence? Is that some kind of joke? Is that some kind of joke? More hydration required. That's one verse is about these living streams. We walk when on the living streams. We talk when on the living streams. We drink hydration when on the living streams. These are all healthful things to Goat vs. Fish. if we keep the living streams being a healthy and invigorating thing for Goat versus Fish, then you can suspect that we'll do more living streams as our power grows. And we end up in a routine. And once again, we're back here. And the mouth opens up and says, I'm thirsty, feed me. Feed me hydration. Hydration! Oh, here's a fun versus. Maybe this is how we can get Goat and Fish to keep watching Goat versus Fish. We take this Juggernaut shark wine like this. We put it here like this. We take the shark wine. We take the shark wine and we fill it with hydration, you see. This is like what Hi-Fi Protege was doing on the living stream. You want to stream, you got to stream. Now there's a celebration. So now, Goat versus Fish can walk around like this. Now Goat versus Fish can do the living stream like this. We have more hydration with Goat versus Fish. We have double the hydration. We've got a shark bottle. And everyone who comes and watch the stream will think that we're getting drunk off our fences. And really, we're just drinking hydration. Although there's a smidgen of shark wine still in there. Welcome to Goat versus Fish inebriation stream. Oh. This versus we're drinking shark wine until the end of the celebration. Don't despair, kids. It's just filled with hydration. It's just filled with glorious hydration. But it still looks fun, doesn't it? It still looks fun, doesn't it, Goat and Fish? Simple verses for your entertainment. Should we bring back one of the classics? Ones in the congregation, we demand your engagement. Ones in the congregation to bring back one of the classics. Which classic is it? You don't even know. You don't even know which classic it is. But if you want one of those classic verses of the vertical live streams of Goat versus Fish, then ones in the congregation for a classic verses. John Smith says one's a classic verses. John Smith is the only one who wants a classic verses? Well then, We may have to do it for John Smith and tell everyone to look away. Everyone else will just have to look away when we do a classic versus for John Smith. No fanciness here. No fanciness here. BBDH187 says 1 for a classic versus. We need one more 1. We need one more 1 for a classic versus. You have to want it. If you don't want it, then Goat vs. Fish ain't gonna give it to you. 1, by the way. Okay, eventually gold. Okay, it's time. It's time for a classic versus. Remember, you asked for this. Are you ready? Here it comes. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching Goat vs. Fish. There was your classic versus. Wow. The genius of Goat vs. Fish. No versing in driving. Driving is a versus. Driving is a versus. Driving is one of those verses where we find that... Haven't you ever found that the true feelings of a goat or a fish come out when they're driving around? If they're one prone to anger, they become angry. It makes everyone angry. Goat and fish should be out there mingling in conversation. Goat vs. Fish isn't driving now. Goat vs. Fish is walking about. Walking about in conversation with you. But as soon as you start encapsulation Goat and Fish within their own little fence pods, driving about, they think they own the verses. Swearing at one another, cursing the verses. Hating all of existence, all because they're driving about in their little fence mobile that they say is such a great convenience. But it's all there for your irritation. Goat vs. Fish prefers walking about with you. Walking about with you. Enjoying our hydration. It's Fry versus Goat and Fish. We have earned our relaxation. We've done our morning motivations. We've done our morning motivations Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now it's time for relaxation. There's still plenty of verses for Goat versus Fish, but in a relative versus, it feels like relaxation. What do you do for relaxation? What do you do for relaxation? Fryverse get fried? You're getting fried this versus? Ah, you're getting fried. Some like watching Goat versus Fish when they're fried. It's true. Sometimes we think, that's why Goat versus Fish could do more late verses. We've been thinking that the morning motivations have been great, but we should give some of you viewers late night, and we do the late night vertical verses, and we do the midnight meditations, but we think we could do some evening verses on Goat versus Fish, just for those who miss Goat versus Fish. It could even be just some casual marble races, Goat versus Fish gaming, just relaxation, just chatting conversation stream with Goat versus Fish. But then those who aren't awake for the morning motivationals can at least get some evening verses with GoatVsFish. Those who are long dedication fans of GoatVsFish, we ponder Jedi Grind. We know does love GoatVsFish, but GoatVsFish is not live when Jedi Grind is awake. So Jedi Grind is not there for GoatVsFish. This displeases us to know that there are some that want to watch the GoatVsFish show live, that GoatVsFish isn't live when they're live. However, there were those who were unable to join GoatVsFish except during the morning motivationals, and we are live for them. In other verses, GoatVsFish should just be live at all times. Always live, GoatVsFish. Always, 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 forever. And that is what we are doing now. Amazingly, GoatVsFish was getting more viewers when GoatVsFish was just pouring water into other water than talking to you. Just showing you water pouring streams. Viewers doubled during that versus. Interesting fascination. The morning is definitely thin for everyone. You have the morning, a more evening adulty versus even we could be a little more adulty in the evening verses. Although we have also been pondering GoatVsFish Kids. GoatVsFish Kids would be fun too. It's GoatVsFish Kids. Hydration. Accumulation. So when you get fried and you watch GoatVsFish, what do you like to consume? If there's one thing we know about goat and fish who get fried, it's that they like consuming things. What do you consume? The morning verses should be kid-friendly enough. But we still had the drunken goat and the smoked goat. And we were rewatching the Maxi Relaxy Rat Cousin streams. And Maxi Relaxy was singing a song about Fish Center Live and was singing a song about, well, it got violent. Let's just say it got very violent very quickly. Now, the violence was not being done to a goat or fish, it was being done to a fence sitter, but GoatVsFish cannot endorse the violence, oh no. The morning verses should be kid-friendly enough? Oh, we don't think so. Not when we start having all kinds of random guests on in the chaos of the morning verses. GoatVsFish, for the morning motivationals, we don't feel like we want it to be kid exclusive. We think that would be too much of a restriction on GoatVsFish. Kid exclusive would be too much. Be too much of a constraint. If you want to say, hey, YouTube, this is YouTube Kids, this is for kids only, you have to be very careful about that verses. So we could have another channel called GoatVsFish Kids. That's only kids content. And then when someone asks, hey, do you have a kids channel? Is it for kids? We would say, okay, go watch GoatVsFish Kids. Just watch GoatVsFish Kids channel. It's all kids all the time. It's a valid verses. Beware when they say that they're doing it for the children. Beware when they say that they want to protect the children. Shall we protect the children? Goat versus Fish thinks so. But beware when some fenceistician says that what they are offering you is security in the name of protecting the children. They want to take your verses away. They want to take away your freedom to choose goat or fish. And if they said, we want to take away your freedom to choose goat or fish, you would say no. But if you say, but we want to take away the children's freedom to choose goat or fish, so that way they don't end up on the fence. So we're not doing, we have to do this. We have to do this for the children. We have to ban the choosing of goat or fish. We have to ban goat versus fish for the sake of the children. Otherwise, they're going to get all fancy, and we wouldn't want that. And then you say, that sounds defenseless. I want the freedom to choose goat or fish. And they say, do you hate children? What, you don't want to protect the children? You don't want to protect the children from goat versus fish, so you're just okay with the children getting all fenced, are you? And you say, no, that's not what I verses at all, but they'll make you feel ashamed. So beware this stratagem, beware. You've seen it employed. Wow, we have now downed so much hydration. Eventually, Gold, you're a real one. Did you know that? Did you know that you're a real one? We offer you a whoop whoop is what we do. The urination. The cycle is completion. We have drank the hydration, and now it is time for urination. So Goat versus Fish is going to leave you in a place of beauty. Goat versus Fish is going to leave you in a place of beauty to enjoy the verses. And then we will come back to retrieve you. How does that sound? How does that sound? welcome back. Today's verse is, hey, Cole J. Hey, Inventive Harvest. I can hear GoatVsFish. Celebrations for accumulation. Yes, you are here to accumulation with GoatVsFish. It is a cold one. It is a cold one. So we're going to walk out just a smidge more. We're going to walk about just a smidge more. And then we're going to go in. We're going to go in. We're going to give you some illuminations. How's that for a versus? How's that for a versus of watch hour accumulation? Ponder this. Every 3 hours of watching that GoatVsFish acquires is 0.1% of that which is needed for monetization. But we have so much time to do this accumulation. We'll take 0.1%. Do that 10 times, and that's 1%. Do that 100 times. That's 100%. So we'll take every precious moment you're watching GoatVsFish. Today's verses. Eventually, Gold says, I need some sex relations. Really? Well, you are wise to come to GoatVsFish for that versus. GoatVsFish has learned. GoatVsFish has learned of this thing that you call sex. It's true. There are some whom GoatVsFish, for whom GoatVsFish is irresistible. You may think it's strange. You may think GoatVsFish has a goat and a fish and they versus. Who would ever? But we think they like the confidence of GoatVsFish. We think they like. No one here is going to tell GoatVsFish what to do, what to say. We're going to be GoatVsFish in our own way. That's just the verses. You can accept GoatVsFish, you can reject GoatVsFish, but it's still going to be GoatVsFish. Either get with the verses or get on the fence. There's no fence riding around here. You can stream old streams to build accumulations. GoatVsFish could stream old streams to build accumulations, but that feels fancy to GoatVsFish. That feels fancy to GoatVsFish. That feels a bit fancy to GoatVsFish. After all, you can watch old streams to build accumulation. There's no accumulation if no one's watching GoatVsFish. Inventive Harvest. So if you want to watch old streams, then you can just watch old streams. But we suppose that there is something to the gathering of the congregation together to watch the old streams of GoatVsFish. We suppose it's true. We could do a living stream of old streams of GoatVsFish. We suppose that is versable. That is versable because, as we know, goat and fish, there are many verses. Take Adult Swim. Adult Swim now is bringing back that sort of live televerses feel. They're going live on YouTube, Adult Swim is, and they are going live for 2 hours, and they're showing you random televerses, programification, like Rick and Morty and verses like these. So if Adult Swim can accumulation watch hours by replaying old verses, then why not GoatVsFish? It's less fancy at 3 a.m. This is true. You could just do old verses at 3 a.m., but there must also be someone there. Inventive Harvest. There must also be someone there to act as moderation for GoatVsFish. But we are starting to see some wisdom in what you say. We could be rewatching old verses on the GoatVsFish televerses. You're just rewatching the old streams. Anyone who wants to relive the streams can do it not alone, but with someone else watching the verses. GoatVsFish can be there. GoatVsFish can be there to speak unto you if there is something to be said. And we're just watching the old verses together. Meanwhile, Goat vs. Fish is doing some editing or doing some thumbnail creation or something else that Goat vs. Fish has to be doing as we review the old verses together, we can put it in the televerses. So by technification, we can say, we're not actually rebroadcasting the old verses, we're rebroadcasting a new verses because it's within the frame of the Goat vs. Fish televerses, which has a new background. So it's not technically the same verses, there's a new context to the verses. And then we could rewatch the live streams of Goat vs. Fish. We could accumulation watch hours, and Goat vs. Fish could be editing more content of Goat vs. Fish as the verses are going on, and you could be making donations to Goat vs. Fish. And when someone said, is this live? We can say yes, but also you're watching old verses, but also it's live because we can respond to you. So when someone says, is this live? Goat vs. Fish says, yes, it's live. Yes, this is a live verses. This verse as well? You think this verse as well? Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it tonight. Maybe we'll do it tonight. Maybe we can rebroadcast the unification celebration for those who missed it. You want to join the celebration again? Join the unification celebration. Again. And we feel as long as Goat vs. Fish is there to respond to you if you make a tip or a contribution to Goat vs. Fish, then it will still have that live feeling like, hey, we're watching it with you. Is there a Goat vs. Fish question of the day regarding Goat vs. Fish ancient scrolls or sacred Goat vs. Fish ceremony segments? It will be a reverse. There could be, well, the Goat vs. Fish question of the day is always, are you goat or fish? This much you know. But yes, we could have Goat vs. Fish trivia. This is where, well, how about this is where we say unto you, Bud Morgan, this is where we say unto you, why don't you creation a Goat vs. Fish question of the day? Why don't you do it? You creation a Goat vs. Fish question of the day, and Goat vs. Fish, and we can review your answer, and we can tell you if your answer is fence or if it's a true versus. And you can creation a Goat vs. Fish question of the day. You are the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish cannot build the universe alone. It requires us all bringing our glorious efforts to Goat vs. Fish. Remember, when you come to Goat vs. Fish with an idea and you say, this is a way it could be, this is something we could see, this is a way it could be Goat vs. Fish, we challenge you to take it upon yourself to make it versus. This is what it means to be in a congregation. If you wish to sit idly on the fence and just consume your contentment, then you can go watch fence flicks or something. But if you want to be part of a congregation, if you want to be part of a congregation of Goat vs. Fish and feel like you are in harmony with your fellow goat and fish, and feel as though we are building something together, that's not a fence. But that is a beautiful verses of goat and fish. Then this will require our mutual participation. Goat vs. Fish can only show you the verses of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish can only lead you towards a unification. But as for the congregation, why? That comes to each and every one of you and your participation in Goat vs. Fish. And the more participation we have from the congregation, the more of a celebration is the verses. And that's some wisdom of Goat vs. Fish. That's some serious wisdom of Goat vs. Fish. It's like watching Buddha. Well, Buddha was kind of known for sitting around, and then if you're not sitting around, you're known for sitting around on the fences, but Goat vs. Fish has had to accept this about Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish has been called many things, and some say that Goat vs. Fish is the king or some other thing. Some say Goat vs. Fish is a god. We find this rather odd. But Goat vs. Fish must accept that Goat vs. Fish is a leader. Not a ladder like a fence, but Goat vs. Fish is a leader. After all, We ask you to follow Goat vs. Fish, don't we? We ask you to follow Goat vs. Fish, and if Goat vs. Fish is asking you to follow Goat vs. Fish, then surely Goat vs. Fish is a leader. You may be the congregation, but Goat vs. Fish is certainly a leader of the congregation, but Goat vs. Fish is not the only leader of the congregation. There are many others within the congregation of Goat vs. Fish who are leaders themselves. So we do accept this responsibility. We accept the responsibility of leadership. If you will expect the responsibility of fellowship, Goat vs. Fish will lead the congregation. But we do expect your participation. We expect your participation. For we can lead, but we cannot do it alone. The dreams, all the dreams of the verses of Goat vs. Fish can only be realized when you too advance the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Does Goat vs. Fish like their ketchup served room temperature or fridge cold? Pfft. A offenseless question to Goat vs. Fish. Is that all you can ponder at verses like this? Advance the congregation. Yes, Psycho Grandma 6. That's the verses. That's the verses. Well, it can be like watching the Buddha, or it can be like watching restreams of Goat vs. Fish. Take your verses. Choose your verses. It's like watching Buddha. It's like watching Adult Swim. It's like watching Monty Python. There are so many ways to play. There's so many things to say. Does it look familiar? Ooh, look at that one. Ooh, that's a nice looking one. Hey there. We miss you. Hey there, Senor Tomat. Enjoying the verses? There's always something to see. Are there goat and fish in Orange Land? You mean Orange County? Of course. Of course there's goat and fish in Orange County. Don't do your own taxes. No taxation without representation. We wish to thank you for joining Goat vs. Fish. We realize now that Goat vs. Fish has a call that we have to make. We have to make communication with someone who is very important to Goat vs. Fish. So perhaps the verses shall return soon. Perhaps the verses shall return soon. But we thank you for watching this Goat vs. Fish Watch Hour accumulation stream with Goat vs. Fish. And we'll see you on the next verses. We'll see you on the next verses. We will leave you here. We suppose we can leave you here a little bit longer with Goat vs. Fish, as long as you don't abandon the living stream. Don't abandon Goat vs. Fish. If you do, if you abandon Goat vs. Fish, then the stream will end. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen, do you? You wouldn't want that, would you? Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish versus. Goat vs. Fish has acquired new meditations. Behold, the 30-minute meditations of Goat vs. Fish. Each one of these verses is 20 to 30 minutes. It's a small one for your contemplation. The meditations of Goat vs. Fish could go on forever, it is true. But Goat vs. Fish has verses to do. And so, for our contemplation of Goat vs. Fish, the Space Cowboy, the Space Coyote, Goat vs. Fish will now enjoy with you together. Instead of ending the stream of Goat vs. Fish, together, we shall now engage in a little timed meditation for as long as the verses will last. Goat vs. Fish. 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 Behold the glory of the meditation. Just when one is about through, there is another to do. There's another to do. We light the new with the old. And carry on the verses. Ah! Oh no! Ah, the verses! Ah, the old verses wasn't done. Goat versus fish. Comprehension. Once more, goat and fish. Once more. Continuation is not so easy. But goat versus fish has a plan. Fish must balance goat and goat fish. Fish must balance goat and goat fish. So let's try this. The frozen sea of the fish. Jonathan Hollis, welcome to the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. We know Jonathan Hollis well. Jonathan Hollis has performed with Goat vs. Fish. Jonathan Hollis, why don't you send a direct message to Goat vs. Fish? We would love to have you on the Goat vs. Fish morning motivational. Live streams of Goat vs. Fish. Send a message to Goat vs. Fish. And enjoy this meditation. Enjoy this meditation for Watch Hour Accumulation. You know, Jonathan Hollis, as much as any goat or fish, how critical it is to achieve watch hours. So we hope that you subscribe to Goat vs. Fish and that you watch lots of the new content of Goat vs. Fish, the live streams, the vertical verses and the horizontal verses. Look for the Goat vs. Fish morning motivational. And watch some Goat vs. Fish news, and you'll see what the verses is all about. We are pleased to see you here. Celebration for Jonathan Hollis. Goat versus Fish watches many verses. We keep up with the affairs of the goat and fish. Goat versus Fish listens to many musications. We enjoy the sounds of the goat and fish. But through the power of this congregation, Goat versus Fish can find the verses to just be here with you in this beautiful illumination. Sometimes with the voice of Goat versus Fish, but often in silence and contemplation. And we see the congregation making conversation to one another still. This pleases Goat versus Fish. We wish to offer you this gift to you, and in return you have given Goat versus Fish the gift of this silence, to simply be here with you, when there are so many other things to do. Just to be here in silence with Goat versus Fish, to drink your hydration with Goat versus Fish, to walk and swim about with Goat versus Fish, to look at the shimmering verses with Goat versus Fish. So many of these things are missing. We seek them out, and what we find is loud and brash. And while we enjoy that celebration, so too do we crave the meditation. If you are new to Goat versus Fish, please like and subscribe to Goat versus Fish. And let us enjoy this verses of silence together in meditation. Celebration, celebration. If you find comfort in this living stream meditation, share it with someone you know, that they may join you in relaxation. Goat vs. Fish acquired the dulcimer. The dulcimer, it could have been even as many as 2 years ago. It still requires a tuner fish, but it is pleasant to listen to. One million celebrations unto you, BBDH1875. It shall certainly return to future meditations of Goat versus Fish. A verse is unto you, inventive harvest. A verse is unto you. The verses may last longer than you think. Welcome. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Are you goat or fish?
Welcome. And we have a new verses. Let's get higher. We call it a goat versus fish meditation, and it is true. We wonder if we could garner another more view or two by calling it Goat versus Fish ASMR. That seems to be the verses everyone likes to perceive these days. Welcome, congregation, to Goat versus Fish. The verses has almost ended, as you can see. When you are ready, like and subscribe to Goat versus Fish. Do not let the fire of the verses extinguish within you. Return to Goat versus Fish. Return to Goat versus Fish. The congregation awaits you. A gathering of goat and fish and even a few fence-sitters ready to welcome you to a place where you can ponder the mysteries of the universe and understand deep within. We believe in you. We believe in you. Sometimes we feel so very small in the universe. For the verses is vast. Behold. And yet your place is of the utmost importance to Goat versus Fish. Goat versus fish, 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 goat fish. This has been a meditation of Goat versus Fish. Thank you for joining the congregation. Many of you here are already great supporters and patrons of the congregation of Goat versus Fish. But if you enjoy meditations like these, just know that wax costs cash. Consider becoming a patron of Goat versus Fish. And if you are already a patron of Goat vs. Fish, consider upgrading your membership from humble congregation member to elite humble congregation member at patreon.com/goat versus fish. Your presence is the greatest presence to Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish may go live later for a late night stream re-watching televerses reverses with Goat vs. Fish. It could be a fun versus. We shall see. If you are new to Goat vs. Fish, please like and subscribe to Goat vs. Fish. And share Goat vs. Fish with someone you know. It may interest the goat and fish of the congregation that small fire of meditation extinguished itself precisely at the 3-hour mark of the living stream. Even now, the viewership of Goat vs. Fish continues to grow. And we thank you for joining the Goat vs. Fish show. If there is anyone new to the congregation who has a question for Goat vs. Fish, or something to say to the congregation, speak now. Always think Goat vs. Fish. BBDH1875 is not new but has a question. You may now ask your question to Goat vs. Fish. Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or fish? Don't sit on the fence.